I would like to invite to the stage Theodora Todoran from Romania, enlightening us with her speech, Apples, Mirrors, and Candles.
Thank you so much. May I begin? Hello. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, esteemed jury, today I would like to start this off by asking you a question. What do apples, mirrors, and candles have in common? Let's take apples, for example. In 10th grade, my psychology teacher stepped into my classroom and made the following statement. Humans, she said, are a lot like apples. When you take a good apple and you place it next to a bad one, in no time, you are going to have two completely unsalvageable bad apples. Now, because at the age of 15, I wholeheartedly believed that I could understand psychology better than a person with a 20-year career and a degree, I stood up with the utmost confidence and I said, with all due respect, we are humans. We cannot reduce ourselves to the simplicity of fruit. Brilliant, I know. Unbeknownst to me, though, that moment would be the very moment that changed my life. It is very ironic, yet somehow kind of funny, that the first person who taught me about negative influence has also shown me the power of positive influence. It is the same professor that has helped me win competitions, gain confidence in myself, apply to college. Now, still, we cannot only influence human behavior in a positive way. What do you think that Frankenstein's creature and the human baby have in common? They are both at a very crucial stage in the development of their identity. But there's also a key difference. A human baby is tiny, vulnerable, cute. Frankenstein's creature appears monstrous, therefore we assume that it is. We don't look past the appearance. The human baby is met with kindness, adoring words, a warm smile. Frankenstein's creature, regardless of whether it committed an act of kindness or one of cruelty, is met with rejection and violence. Therefore, it learns that if it cannot be loved, it must be feared. Now, let's move on to candles. One of the first things that comes to mind when I think about my home country is those couple of rare moments that we have at church when during national holidays we share the light of candles between each other. Although they may be very beautiful, and although I take great pride in my culture and national identity, I have to admit that sometimes that very flame that gives us warmth sometimes encircles us into this unescapable cycle of transgenerational trauma. When my country became a communist country, we learned many things from our environments. My grandparents and parents, and me, indirectly, have learned that it is dangerous to have a new idea. It is dangerous to challenge authority, to step out of line. It is dangerous to attempt to bring any sort of innovation into the world. So, let's think about it for a moment. What do apples, mirrors, and candles stand for? Very different things with seemingly no connection, but to me, they represent means through which we attempt to define something very complex, our identity, means through which we attempt to oversimplify it. Today, choose not to be a candle or an apple or the looking glass of another person's gaze. Choose to adapt, to change, to choose the labels that are placed upon you, to surround yourselves with people from diverse backgrounds. Today, choose who you become. Thank you.
Now, dear audience, I hope that some of that talk of apples have sparked your appetite for some really fueled questions. So, once again, 3 questions for Theodora, please. Up here. Oh, hi. Up there, please.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your wonderful speech, Theodora. You asked us what do apples, mirrors, and candles have in common, that they are means in which we define our identity. And my question for you is, how do you define your identity?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your question. The truth of the matter is that I attempt to refrain from placing labels on myself, or at least labels that are permanent. The way through which I identify is actually, to me, I take a look at every change that I ever go through. I take a look at every experience that I have. I look at every new person that I've met, whether it's from my culture or a different background. And from every person, I attempt to learn this one thing. And I take that all with me, wherever I go. For example, right, about, I want to say, 2 years ago, I left for America. I moved to an entirely different continent to become an exchange student for a year. And I was incredibly worried. I mean, what if I wouldn't do well in school? What if people wouldn't like me? What would happen? But I took the chance and I did that. And that experience rewarded me with something that I believe is very important and crucial to each and every single one of us as identities: diversity. When we meet new people from different backgrounds, we borrow a little piece of every single one of them. And if we can construct our identity not by labeling ourselves in very simple terms, if we can force ourselves to accept the ambiguous, the unclear, then we can be a well-rounded, open-minded individual. That is how I like to see myself, a person that is always open to changing her identity, not defining it.
Any other questions? Up there?
Yeah, so my question is, when a good apple is near a bad apple, the good one will turn bad. And then if a bad person is near a good person, will the bad person turn good?
Okay, first of all, thank you for your question. It is actually very complex. The answer to your question is exactly why, when my psychology professor made the statement that I presented within my speech, I disagreed with her. The thing is, even a bad apple, right, you can take it and you can make it into so many things. You can make it into a pie, for example. It is still something that can become wonderful. We aren't quite like apples. Our identity is ever changing. And yes, I believe that we have a lot to learn from every single individual that we meet. There's this saying that if you walk into a room with your head held high, but not thinking that you are the smartest person in the room, if you're willing to learn from everybody, you will eventually be able to call yourself the smartest in the room. I believe that every single person that you meet shares a part of themselves with you. So fundamentally speaking, I do believe that, as you put it metaphorically, a bad apple can become a good apple with the right influence. Thank you.
one more question, please. Up there again. Guys, you're on fire up there.
Hey.
So I think you can hear me right?
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned standing up to your psychology teacher, and you also made a reference to the socialist regime in Romania and how it left us scarred and unable to critique or question authority. So regarding your identity, would you consider yourself skeptical or critical of authority? And if yes, how do you practice this skepticism? Thank you.
Okay. Actually, I love this question. This might be my favorite question so far. I loved every question, but this one is something entirely different. The answer to this question actually lies within the semi-final speech that I held yesterday. I like to believe that although we as a country have this general tendency not to challenge authority, not to innovate because we are afraid of what people might say, I like to think that I am a tiny bit different because I was fortunate enough to meet the most wonderful teachers. Who in this room believes that teachers don't get enough credit for their work? Right? So I believe that I was influenced by, let's put it this way, the right people, and I became the kind of person who was able to challenge authority. I wouldn't call it necessarily standing up to my psychology teachers. It was more of a heated debate. We were both very passionate about the topic, but that is how I became that kind of person. And I like to believe that that is an ability that I will carry with me into the future. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much.
Theodora, everyone!